The Grow My Cleaning Company podcast helps owners of cleaning companies just like you to grow your company and yourself so you can make more money and finally get the time and money freedom that probably got you into this business. Discover how to automate and create systems that allow you to grow like crazy without losing control. If you dig the show and want to show some love, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. It really helps. Enjoy the show.
Hey Cleaning Nation, what's up? It's Lindsay here, back for another solo session, another solo episode. The last episode I did, that was a deep dive into the client happiness manager position. Got a lot of great feedback. People were like, hey, I loved how you deep dived into a very specific topic and a very specific thing. So I thought we could deep dive today into virtual assistants. Now I know we've done a few episodes, well, probably several at this point, but the main episodes I'm referring to, if you haven't listened to them, are Virtual Assistant 101 for your cleaning company and Virtual Assistants, I think we called it 201 for your cleaning company. If you just search that on whatever platform you're listening to this on, I'm sure it will come up. But anyhow, I just wanted to talk about some stuff I've noticed when a client will come to me, for example, and be like, hey, I'm having a lot of trouble communicating with my VA, or I can't figure out a system to put into place, and they kind of tell me what's going on, and I'm like, oh, I got some tips and tricks to help you with that. So we're going to get very specific today. And also, this is for all my clients out there that come to me sometimes and they're on their third or fourth virtual assistant, and they're like, I still can't communicate with them, or something's still wrong, and it's the third or fourth time that's happened. It's I hate to tell you this, but it's probably a little bit on your end if it's the same thing keeps happening over and over again. Okay, it's like when women date the same guy basically over and over again. They're I don't know why I can't find a good man. Okay, it was a little side tangent, but similar concepts. This episode is special too because it was kind of last minute, so I couldn't get my virtual assistant. Her name is Apple. Awesome name. I couldn't get Apple on this episode with me. Honestly, she's a little shy, so someday I will try to get her actually on an episode to interview her. But I asked her some questions too, to get her input from the virtual assistant side, what kind of things she likes to see from her employer that makes her job easier or makes things better for her. So we're going to save that till the end. And I'm going to start with some things that I think are super helpful, some tools. So just a quick review. What is a virtual assistant? Okay, so a virtual assistant or VA is anyone you hire to do any kind of task, really. It could be anything, honestly, virtually. So this could be your scheduler. Mike went into I believe it's the 8 roles in a cleaning company, and I covered the client happiness manager, but your scheduler could be a virtual, your person answering your emails or taking calls, they could easily be virtual, or you just might need some admin help, which is very, very typical for a virtual assistant to do. So again, that is on a bunch of previous episodes. Just want to give a quick recap there. My first tip is going to be to make communication as easy as possible between the two of you. So this doesn't necessarily mean giving the VA your cell phone so they can text you any time of day or night. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is give them tools so if you need to communicate in real time during the workday, it's easy. The biggest, most common one that people use nowadays is Slack, S-L-A-C-K. If you've never heard of it, definitely check it out. There are free subscriptions for it, before you have to really even pay. I think most people I know use the free version because it's most cleaning companies aren't ginormous and you only need a few users, so they're usually free, but it's even cheap if you add more users. But anyhow, I don't have the specific pricing in front of me, but whatever they charge, it's totally worth it. So what is Slack? Well, it's basically kind of an instant messenger system. You can think back into the AOL days where you had instant messenger and you were chatting back and forth in a chat room. So it's basically an instant messaging service designed for businesses, really, where you can chat back and forth. You can make different channels. So say you have a client happiness channel, you can make that. Say you have a scheduling channel, you can put your scheduler in there, and you can have everything nice and neat. So if you're ever thinking or having a conversation with someone on your team, you can easily see like, oh yeah, where was that conversation? Like, I know we had it. You just look in the channel and boom, there it is. So I personally like Slack a lot. I've seen other alternatives that are out there that I think some of them are free. I know Discord is like the hip happening one that is very similar that I've seen. Like you get a Discord server. I think that's free. You can totally Google it. It's something people like as well. The other OG one that I see people use a lot is Skype, which is owned by Microsoft now, I believe, but it's still great. I feel like Slack and Zoom have kind of like replaced Skype in my opinion, but some people find it really valuable because you can do a chat and you can do video conferencing on it. I do not believe you can do video conferencing on Slack yet. I could be wrong. And by the time this episode comes out, they easily could have it. I don't know if they're going to have it in like a day. But if you're listening to this in the future, double check. Slack might have video by now. They do have something cool where you can set up a room. Sorry to backtrack. This is to Slack, but just another hint. You can leave voicemails on it too and voicemail each other back and forth, which I love, especially working with Jackson in our tech department. When things get really complicated, or with Jared, I just voicemail them. Anyhow, so Skype. Back to Skype is another good option. Zoom is going to be, let me just put it this way. I think post-COVID times, or in the world we live in now, everyone kind of has to know how to use Zoom. Everyone uses it. It's pretty much the standard platform for video conferencing. I know Google Meets is out there too. My opinion is it's not great, but if you use Google Meetup or whatever it's called, it's still good if you use it through like your G Suite, if you signed up for Gmail with your company. It's still good. But Zoom is really great for conferences and holding quick meetings. You can have a free account that lasts, the meetings will last up to 40 minutes, I believe. And it's just great. It's such a major tool to use so that you can, especially with a virtual assistant, where you can see their facial expressions. I know in the past I've recommended using Filipino VAs, and sometimes the communication, it's English is their second language, so stuff can get lost in text, like the nuances, and it's great to see their facial expressions. Like, are you really understanding me? Like, does this make sense? Or you can tell if they're a little confused. Like, I love Zoom for that. So, I know in the past I've recommended a weekly check-in for your virtual assistant and you. Like, if you have a team of them, even better, and meet once a week. I recommend doing that on Zoom. Easy. So I would say Zoom and Slack are my top two communication devices. I would check them out first. And just to disclaimer here, we're not endorsed or affiliated with any of these brands I'm talking about. This is just me telling you what I like. They don't pay me to sit here and talk to you. They definitely don't. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. I forgot to mention that at the top of this episode. All right. So, the next thing you're going to need, besides tools for communication, is you're also going to need tools for project management and day-to-day tasks. So what do I mean by project management? Okay, so say you give your VA a project of import all of these contacts into my CRM, my new CRM, that's customer resource management. I probably just screwed that up, but whatever. So your CRM, where you manage your clients, right? So say it's like a huge project. You want a way to assign that to the person so it doesn't get lost in the mix. So this is one thing I don't really use Slack for, is project management, because there's a lot of conversations going on in our end and stuff can get lost easily. So what I recommend is having some kind of system where you can make a to-do list that you both can see. So the most easy way to do this, honestly, is just to make a document, whether it's Google Docs or Word document, and make it like a checklist where you have a little box and they can just check off. So you would have Monday, you could put all their projects on there. You can put their day-to-day tasks on there too, is what I'm saying. So you could have like Monday's tasks, Tuesday, like make the schedule, whatever it is. But I've found it's very helpful, even for me when I was Mike's virtual assistant. Yeah, I had that title, I think, for like maybe a month. But I had a daily task list where I checked everything off for the day because I was balancing a lot of stuff, and it helps me a ton to, my predecessor left me that list, and it was phenomenal. And it was so basic too, just for projects management, like keeping in mind, like, you know, what stuff I have going on. Some other tools that I like are Asana, Trello. You can just Google those. Asana is Asana. Trello, it's a little more robust than Trello. Trello is Trello. Trello I like because it's hard to explain in a podcast or even in a video, but basically you can make little cards, and imagine you had like a whiteboard, you know, and you had a list of projects like, you know, CRM, marketing project, and you could list out each thing under that headline, like what needs to be done and what needs to be prioritized in that order. And it's shared with your whole team, so you can see when stuff gets done in real time. There's also Jira, Jira. I know that's really common in like the tech industry. It's a little more, even more robust than I would say Asana. I think they're related to each other, but you know, don't make it too complicated. If you like easy stuff, I would just say go with a document, but have somewhere where it's written out like the stuff you have going on, because chances are your VA is not going to like remember it, and you setting up a system for them to remember what's going on and that you both can see will be like super helpful.
Hey, amazing people, you may have noticed we don't sell a dadgum thing on this podcast. We don't allow ads. The only ask I can ever have of you guys is if you dig the show, for you to spread the word and share so we can change as many lives as possible. Literally, it'll take you 5 seconds to give us a great review, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you as a listener and value the gift of your kind words. Now, back to the show.
The next thing I have that kind of ties into projects management is, think of number 3 as give your team, your VA guidelines to work by, but don't micromanage them. So what do I mean by this? And for me, it's not easy. I'm a micromanager. I'm telling you, I'm a self-proclaimed micromanager. I like to, if I could do everything myself, trust me, I would, Cleaning Nation. But that's why we have VAs, because we can't do everything ourselves. It would be insane, right? What do I mean by guidelines? So say you have, let's use the client happiness manager. They might not be a VA, but I think I mentioned this in that episode, is give them guidelines, like give them a budget of like what they can spend to complete their project. Say you are working on a CRM or something like that, and you're importing all these contacts and you need a tool. Set a budget for your VA. Say, hey, you can spend up to $50 on this project. Like if you need to buy some, get some help from Fiverr, like if your VA can't do it and they need to hire help, that allows them to do that without having to check in with you. So kind of set like a point where you're comfortable with giving them money to do something if it's necessary. Some people won't feel comfortable giving their VAs credit cards or money or stuff like that, and that's okay. It's baby steps, right? So, you know, it's really at your discretion, but I think having a budget helps, or an amount of money that it's okay for them to come to you for you to pay it, which isn't really, it doesn't really flow well. That's why I like to give VAs, like, if they need to buy something and it's under $50 or under, it's like, that's not going to kill my business, right? So other guidelines you can give them are deadlines. Oh, deadlines are big. And if you're vague about deadlines, it can cause so much confusion with your team, with your virtual assistant. If you just give them a huge project and you're like, okay, go get it done, and they have other stuff going on, they don't know how to prioritize things. So a good VA is going to ask you, hey, you gave me task A, B, and C to do, and now you're giving me D, which seems humongous. What do you want me to do first? You'd think a VA would do that, but they might not always do that. So you need to communicate as the leader to your virtual assistant what to prioritize and what the deadline is. So say it's by tomorrow or it's the end of the week. Really keep in mind too that if you have virtual assistants all over the world, like Apple's in the Philippines, like anytime I give her a deadline, I have to make sure it makes sense. Like if I'm working on a Thursday afternoon, I say, okay, give me this by tomorrow morning. It's already tomorrow morning her time. So it's like, you got to be clear with deadlines. And another point I want to make is you should make your VA feel comfortable to approach you if they have any questions. So I love how Mike, when I work with him and he gives me a project, he always says, I'm here to support you. If anything comes up, just let me know. Like, don't be afraid to reach out and contact me if you need help. I think sometimes with virtual assistants, we think we never have to, like, this is a terrible example, but maintain them. Think of your team as a garden, right? You're watering it, you're helping them grow, you're helping maintaining that team by giving them guidelines, giving them core values to live by, to work by. So, another way to help your garden grow, terrible analogy, but we'll go with it, is to just let your team know that you're still there for them. You're not like off, like done with them after you give them an assignment, especially if it's kind of a big deal. And the last one that kind of ties in with that is give them space to come up with their own ideas and their own solutions. This is super important for not new business owners, but business owners that are new to having like any kind of team. Especially if they've been doing everything on their own in the office for so long, it feels weird to like hand that off. And you want to watch, not everyone is like this, but you might want to watch or feel the need to watch every single thing that virtual assistant is doing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're not going to do a better job by having you stare over their shoulder, right? It's like your cleaners. They're not going to clean better by you going on the clean with them and just staring at them like cleaning a toilet. Like, how is that going to make them feel, right? So same thing with your virtual assistants. Give them a little space to work on their own and come up with ideas. Like, if you give them an outcome, right? We talk about outcome-based jobs where, you can give everyone a task to do, but you can also give them outcomes like, make this CRM work great, make it set up so that all of our contacts are in there and we can easily text or call anyone on a dime if we have to. So that's a clear outcome. Like, if you need to tell them every step of the way of how to get there, that's not really helpful either. That's going to take as much time as you doing it yourself. So give them some freedom to try things on their own. Also, this sounds crazy, but give them the freedom to fail too. That's the only way they're going to grow. As workers, I can't tell you how many times I've failed working on something for Mike. Sometimes it feels like I'm trying out new things so much and just failing at them that it feels kind of weird sometimes, but eventually I get faster at realizing when something's not going to work and finding something that will work for the team, right? So it's kind of like a micro view. Like, I'm not really his virtual assistant, but I'm his team virtually. Apple's on my team virtually. Like, we all have a similar kind of relationship, like with Russian dolls, that kind of nest into each other. So it's the same concept from the top down. Little tangent there, but just don't rush to put out a fire. Like, let the person figure it out on their own. Okay, so I promised that we would go over some stuff that Apple gave me, and I think it was funny because I asked her, a certain thing, and I wasn't clear. I did a bad job of being clear. That's another thing with communication. You got to be clear, very specific with what you're asking for. So the first thing she did, which was super cute, I want to share this from a VA's point of view. This is Apple's tips to VAs to basically how to work with an employer, like tips for them. So I thought this would be cool if you're an owner and listen to this to get that kind of side that you're not used to hearing. So first one's excellent. She says, be resourceful as a VA. Don't limit your knowledge or yourself. Apple will research the crap out of stuff for me. I never have to tell her to Google anything. She is Googling it. She is DuckDuckGoing it. She'll do anything to find more information. She's very independent, and she usually figures out stuff faster than I would have figured out. Be honest and dedicated. Be honest is basically one of our core values, so I love that she listed this. And dedicated. She's super dedicated. I have to tell her to take days off. She just took a beach vacation. I was so happy for her. Always know your priorities is one of our recommendations for a VA, which honestly, that reflects back on you as the owner, right? Like you should be helping them prioritize, like I said, with deadlines, with budgets, with things like that, with your projects management. And then here's a list of things. I think she said it makes things that make life easier for Apple as a VA. Have complete details of the task that's being assigned to you. So as an owner, right, I just said be clear. Be clear with what you're asking of the person. There you go. Have a competitive compensation. This is why I love Apple. See, she's a core value match, because one of our core values is make money. So she's already being real, and now she's like, hey, I gotta make money. Like, I need a competitive compensation, or else, like, what am I doing here? Like, you're gonna pay me like nothing to work for you? No, we want her to make money. Have an upgraded and updated computer, and have a strong internet connection. That kind of like goes without saying, but sometimes you get people in the Philippines that their internet in their region might not be good. So she's basically telling those types of people to make sure you got your stuff together before you become a VA, because we're going to be dependent on having your internet working for Zoom and all that stuff. It's super basic, but I think it's important for VAs to know that on their end too. So I hope that like helps you get a little perspective on like how she sees things from her ends. Super cute. I gotta get her on here sometime. Excuse me, I got a little cold apparently. So just to review super quick, make communication as easy as possible. These are my points. Have a system for day-to-day tasks as well as project management. That's 2. Number 3 is give guidelines, but don't micromanage, right? So we talked about budget, we talked about deadlines. And number 4, my 4th tip was give them space to come up with their own solutions and answers, and it helps them grow. So that is it, Cleaning Nation. I hope this is helpful to you in some way. And let me know in the comments, or shoot me an email at support@growmycleaningcompany.com, or find us on Facebook. We have the Grow My Cleaning Company Facebook group. I don't even know how many people we have in there. It's thousands. It's crazy. So join that party. Don't be a stranger, and let me know if you enjoyed this episode, and if you have any questions. Again, support@growmycleaningcompany.com. That's it for today, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.
Well, here we are at the end of the podcast, and you made it. Great job. I've got a little bonus for you for sticking through with me. But like I mentioned before, if you got value out of this podcast and you want to show a little love, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever the heck you're listening to this thing. Share it with a friend. Share the love. And as a special thank you for those of you that stuck with me to the end, how about I give you my personal phone number so we can text? It's a great way for me to get to know you, your business, your goals personally. So shoot me a text now, 602-932-6431. 602-932-6431. I am the only one who responds to these texts, and I will personally respond to everyone I possibly can, as long as this number is manned. Don't know how long we're going to keep this at the end of the podcast, so grab it now, 602-932-6431. Give me a text, say hey, can't wait to meet you.